Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 107 of the FReality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can also catch the show live in VR and chat with other like-minded VR enthusiasts using big screen TV. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, and on Spotify. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. Now it's time for me to introduce you to the team. First up, this guy loves nothing more than to go deep diving in a simulation within a simulation. It's the Westworld warrior. It's the Rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm all right. I'm all right indeed. I dove into Westworld, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. It has nothing to do with that I'm managing the show at the moment, but you can probably hear in my voice that my voice has had a couple of rough nights, Yeah.
It's been rowdy nights.
Yeah, exactly.
So prayers in the chat for a speedy recovery for Rowdy, because he's got an even busier week next week. Well, we all have, in fact. So fingers crossed you feel better soon, dude. Next up, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Iron Nathie patrolling the skies in Tony Stark's Iron Man suit. It's my Dutch brother from another mother. It's, of course, Nathie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's great to be on the show, first of all. And second of all, I see someone in the chat saying that it's Steve, actually, who says, I'm about to mow my lawn while listening live.
Oh, well, enjoy
the
it.
lawnmower. The lawnmower.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of experience that is, like listening to us while doing something that is also very important at the same time.
You know that would make Steve the lawnmower man.
Yeah, hey.
Just saying. Welcome to the show, Steve. Glad you're listening. Zim, sadly, he's not here this week. He's already out in sunny California. He's already out there trying some VR stuff already before Oculus Connect even starts. So he's doing some stuff behind the scenes, trying some VR demos. And of course, we'll be meeting up with him during the week. So he's not going to be with us this show, but he's with us in spirit, and that's what matters. Last but by no means least, myself, the host of the show, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. We've got a really busy show for you today. Some of the highlights include some concerns we have about the news of the Vive Cosmos controller battery life. So we'll be getting into that. Batman Arkham VR is getting Valve Index controller support this week, which is an awesome little Easter egg for us. A new VR stealth game sneaks onto Kickstarter called Panther VR. Nathie's going to give you the lowdown on the latest releases to look forward to next week as Zim's away. And then finally, we'll round up the show with our spicy predictions as for what will be announced during Oculus Connect next week. But of course, let's start the show off by finding out what everyone's been playing this week and their highlight of the week. And of course, feel free to join in the chat. We always love to hear what you guys and girls have been playing as well. So let's pass it over to Rowdy, see what he's been up to.
Yeah, well, what I've been playing this week is like you said in the introduction already. Like I have been playing some Westworld. I actually thought, because you guys all said, it's more of a narrative experience. So I thought, I'm just gonna give it a shot and see what happens. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's very different from like the regular games that you expect from Survios. It's much less of an arcade title, I think, than the other ones. What did annoy me, and it might also be due to the difficulty that I said it, is that like everything is like repeated so many times when you need to do something. For example, like when I had to like pick up a key, like I literally saw the key as soon as she said it, but by the time I walked to the key, she had repeated already like 4 or 5 times saying, I think there's a key somewhere around here. Oh, the uncle said that there was a key around here. And I was like, crying out, just shut up for a moment, let me pick up this key. Like, like that kind of stuff, I get that. Maybe it is also because I set the difficulty maybe too low, and like those hints are like being given like the entire time. But that did get on my nerves a little bit. But yeah, a great experience, visually stunning. Like I've been trying to like really get the max out of my new RTX 2080 Ti, and like some of those titles, they really look amazing, especially at like 90 frames per second or 80 frames per second.
Yeah, nice. And in terms of the storyline, did you watch the show? I can't remember if you said you did last time.
Yeah, I watched the first season. I did watch. The second season I actually never really got into. I don't know if I actually started watching it or I just didn't bother at all. I liked the first season actually, but I don't know if I don't think I really liked the ending because it ended on like a real big cliffhanger, and I was like, this is kind of what I was expecting, like the entire time already to happen much sooner. So yeah, that was a bit like, I never watched the second season.
But I was watching some of your gameplay, and it looked like this game has a lot more horror sort of type of elements in it. Like you're being stalked sometimes, right, by like a bad dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it like horror, because it's not like horror like it is like, for example, Resident Evil or something. Because I mean, you do have a hunter, but it's still not the. It's much more like a thriller experience. They don't really do jump scares. That I haven't really encountered any jump scares, so I think that's a good thing, since I'm not a big fan of those. But they do build tension very well in the game. If there is something like a thriller VR game, then I think that is like a right fit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice way of describing it. And in terms of like gameplay, have you finished the experience yet? Or
No,
are you just
I haven't yet. Like I finished actually the first chapter. I finished that. That's what I did the gameplay of, and I also finished the second chapter, which I actually liked a lot more, because it's much. The first chapter is much more goal directed. Like you have a set narrative that you need to follow. The second chapter is like that as well, but it feels a little bit more free in the second chapter, that you can actually explore a bit more. You need to go and pick things up. You need to make sure that you avoid the hunter and that kind of stuff. So I like that better. While in the first one, you really don't have a way of avoiding him. You really need to run into him. Yeah, I think that is actually a little bit better. I haven't finished the game though yet.
Yeah.
You
played this one as well, right,
is really stupid though.
Oh, she is, but especially if it's on easy mode.
Yeah, of course. Like, but I mean, I can imagine that they like, of course, like because she lives in Westworld, she's never encountered any like advanced technology, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, like you need to operate like an iPad, and she catches on that like instantly, like snap on, like pop pop pop. Yeah, everything works. But then like, what is this? What is this? This thunder coming out of these wires, like it's like crying out loud. Come on, you guys had electricity there, right? So yeah, that was kind of funny.
Spoopy stuff.
I thought this would be your jam because you like narrative-driven games, so I thought you'd probably enjoy this one. So it's good to hear that you did. But how did you find this one then, Nathie? Did you enjoy Westworld when you played it? Because I know you played it on the channel, right?
Yeah, no, I do agree with Rowdy that the second, because you have different chapters. First one is like really, it's let's say the first chapter is more like typical Westworld, like a good introduction, and then the second chapter is it feels more open, feels more like, okay, yeah, I really need to think for myself now. And usually, of course, like the first parts of a game are more tutorial and more startups. But maybe the problem with this Westworld VR game is that it has a slow start, that they're trying to hold your hand a little bit too long, because I don't think changing the difficulty matters in terms of like how much dialogue they try to cram in there to make clear what you need to do. The only thing that changes if you like switch the difficulty is that it doesn't highlight objects anymore. Yeah. So the key will not be highlighted. But I gotta agree with Rowdy. Like you have to open a door the first time. This key is like in just an eyesight straight away. They're not even trying to hide it. But what is more annoying than you just start a game and then you can't even find a key? You're like, I didn't even start yet. So I do get it.
Yeah, and hats off to Servios, because like Rowdy pointed out at the beginning, it's a very different game from what they've previously made. They make a lot of really fun arcade titles because they own a series of VR arcades, which makes total sense. So this is kind of a bit of a strange step for them, because even the Walking Dead experience that I tried back at Gamescom was very arcadey, whereas this seems a bit more sort of like a mainstream story-driven narrative game.
I do think because obviously Rowdy hasn't tried Walking Dead. It's very similar and it is arcadey in some way, but
right, okay,
it's like a typical Servios game. I feel like Servios has made so many games now that you can almost identify what that's like playing a title that Servios made. Maybe it's what does arcadey mean in your eyes?
I think, for me, arcadey, and certainly the way I felt playing The Walking Dead, was that there was a lot of like stuff in my face that was kind of like you said, hand holding me through the experience, where I don't feel like I need that anymore. And certainly I'd like to have the option to turn all that stuff off. But also like with the knife, for example, like it's got a really nice melee mechanic in The Walking Dead where you can dismember zombies, which is super satisfying. But they do it with these kind of like knife trails, and
it's like Fruit Ninja.
That kind of exactly, and that kind of takes out some of the realism for me. And then, a lot of the objects are kind of brightly highlighted. Yeah. And again, especially in a real world setting, it kind of it takes you out of the experience a little bit. You're sort of reminded that you're playing a game where you want to forget that you're playing a game and get lost into the world. But again, like you say, they've almost got like a hallmark, way of making games. And not that that's a bad thing, but it is what it is.
I think what also like makes like an arcade experience is if you take like, the gameplay that you're going to play and you put yourself into whatever scene or whatever chapter that the game sets in, and you can like pick up immediately. I think that's much more arcadey kind of feel, because you want different environments, you want fast gameplay. While in Westworld, because it's much more like a narrative experience, it's very hard to just be dropped somewhere in the middle, immediately get what's going on and know what you need to do. While with, for example, something like Raw Data or like a Sprint Factor, if you get dropped into that game and like the second level or whatever, you pick it up immediately. You know what you need to do. You need to kill everything you see, or you need to sprint through hoops or whatever it is. I think that's also a little bit more like defining of like what
I think in the end, I don't think it's a question if Servios wants to make something that is more realistic. I think most of the games they made so far are requests from big companies. AMC wants to have a Walking Dead game. It's not that Servios thought like, hey, let's make a Walking Dead game. It's like a request from them. And it's the same with HBO, with Westworld. And usually those marketing peeps, they just want to have a game that is easy to understand, easy to play. Yeah. And that's the difference. The difference is that if you buy an IP, like you can buy, let's say, Splinter Cell, you can buy Assassin's Creed as an IP and then make a game about it if you get permission at least. And then you can kind of do what you want. It depends on how popular this IP is, So, and then the other games they make that are not requests are usually based on what they made before. And what's nicer than if you got a lot of money to make Westworld, the VR game, and you can use all those mechanics to make another game, then I totally get it. But I would love to see something more realistic from them for sure.
I do like the progression that we're seeing, like with like a lot of those like Servios titles again, that it gets much more like maybe visceral isn't like the right word, but it gets much more like hands-on. You need to physically pick up much more stuff. They have those mechanisms that they use in The Walking Dead as well, with like where you put the axe in someone's head and you just get like dismemberment. You see these kind of like game mechanics that are getting ported from game to game to game. You see like that overall system just improving. I think that is just awesome.
Yeah, and they do make it, a diverse set of games. Like Battle Wake is very different.
Yeah.
Walking Dead is very different, and Sprint Vector is a very different game as well. So hats off to them. Looking forward to see what they bring to the table next. But yeah, interesting. Your thoughts on Westworld, Rowdy. So let's pass it over to Nathie then. What about you then, dude? What did you play this week?
So I did not play that much, but I do want to highlight something though. I saw a video yesterday on YouTube of VR Phil. He's like the community manager of VR Chat, and he did a tour of a world that the Japanese community built called, I think it was called Virtual Market, where they have this huge city with all these little shops in there where people can sell their own virtual items. And this was the first time where I was like, this looks legit. We have seen experiences before where, you can buy a car in VR or you can do this, but this is something that seems to work. And there are people in there to buy avatars, buy items, or buy an entire house. You can just buy stock things there. And it was not just, hey, I go there to buy. No, it was like a living city where you could call each other with a little phone. You could jump into a photo booth and then appear on these big Times Square screens. And Panasonic apparently is sponsoring this whole thing. They invested into this, and it's huge. You have different, usually when you jump into VR Chat, you can go into different worlds. So you have Virtual Market 1 is the entrance, but then you have more and more and more, because apparently it's so big that they had to even have more worlds. It's amazing. And they have a currency you can buy with real money there. And it's super fun. You can try those items like you would in a store.
So this is in VR Chat, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the question is, at this market, can you buy a Zemeckis cube and a holy hand grenade? That is the question.
That would be a good one.
Or a haptic boot suit.
Exactly. But that's, if you watch Ready Player One and you saw the part where they go into the shop in VR, it's the same thing. And, I've seen so many companies trying to pull this off, but this is the first time I see it work, where this community is hey, and right now, most of it is in Japanese. Some parts are translating by itself, but it's super fun to see. It's I would definitely recommend people to check it out. I mean, VR Chat is free. The items might not be free, but there are parts where it is where things are free, and it's so random. You have parts where you have this booth where it's a classroom, and you can buy all these kawaii outfits of school uniforms and things like that. But then next to that, there's this this booth with office stuff, so you can buy a chair and a computer and these old school calendars. It's all there. Or food, you can buy squeezies, in shapes of food. I think it's cool. I think VR Chat is really setting and they have so many game modes too. I saw someone playing Alien Isolation in VR Chat with that actual scanner, and it was working. They make game modes there. And there was one thing that Phil said that I thought was super, super cool. So let's say you're listening to this podcast and you don't have access to VR. Phil has this channel, VR Pill, by the way. It's not Phil. I always say Phil, but it's Pill. He has a channel. He's doing all these tours, so you can also just watch it and not go in there. It's totally up to you. But he said that there was this one booth he went into where this guy, he sold some kind of package that allowed you to use your own avatar that you had in an RPG. And then he said the future is going to be like this, where everyone has their own avatar, and you can play, let's say, the next Call of Duty or the next whatever game, and you can just use your own avatar and play as yourself. And I think he's
go so horribly wrong, right? You're gonna see people dressed up as like a bunny or something, going to war, or you're gonna get the craziest stuff. I think it's awesome though, but
yeah,
it's gonna be mental.
Yeah, so that was something that I was super surprised by. Paradise DK is asking, but Nathie, can you buy ET Lost cartridges? No, I think they're all buried deep under the ground in Mordor. No, I didn't see those. I right now it felt very when I watched the video, very Japanese. But I did see even Against Gravity and others who are also running a social app showing a lot of interest, because this is a way to have your, like, well, let's say make money. It's like microtransactions in some way. But on the other side, I think having a currency in VR chat that is not just a game, it's like an actual civilization in virtual reality. That's what it is. It makes total sense to have a currency in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you think of the early days of World of Warcraft and what was that? Second Life. People thought it was ridiculous that people were selling like virtual items.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's like the first, Second Life millionaire, being announced, and you're like, holy crap, people are spending a lot of money. So I think, once it gets good enough that people are willing to part with their cash, then I think it's going to be huge business, especially if you run that platform and you run that currency. Then
but it's funny to see, let's say, apps like Sensar and also High Fidelity and some others. They try,
but
then they, like, some of them move away and they invest more into, let's say, esports or other things, where VR chat just lets the community figure it out. And for everything is a time, I think. Like a year ago, this wouldn't really be possible yet, or someone wouldn't really come up with the idea. They just wait and see. And now suddenly this guy said, like, listen, I have this whole world ready. Can you import it? They work together with the Japanese community to make it happen. And then you see it just works because it comes from themselves. And I think that's the best. If you're a corporation and you want to create something for people that you don't really level with, it's hard to make it happen. But these guys are like this one guy who made the marketplace itself, the world, is just making the world, and then the rest can come in and sell. So it's like a gathered thing. And it's just the user who made it. So
I like the idea of it for sure. It'd be interesting to see which one will be the first to take off and be like that platform.
I'm curious too.
Yeah. So what about the chat? What did they play this week? Any good suggestions?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Watto UK played Control and Gears 5. And he also jumped back into No Man's Sky and VR. I did see an article. I'm not sure if maybe I misread it, but there was like a patch again, but this time it wasn't really in people's favor, where it seemed like it was more performance heavy than before. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, and this was of course PC. I don't think PlayStation had like a very solid version of No Man's Sky of all platforms, I would say. So then we have VR Bug, who played Lone Echo via Revive on the Index, and Pavlov Prop Hunt. And I can tell you, like, I played a few games too on Oculus Home with my Index. Like, these controllers, they are very similar to the touch. And you can pretty much play everything now in a way where it's not frustrating. And that was a problem before with the Vive ones.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting that, the most exciting games for Valve Index owners right now are going to be Oculus titles, because, you've got Stormland, Asgard's Wrath, this Respawn game that's bound to be awesome. These games are likely
have, like, some kind of like finger tracking, finger movement.
Although it won't be the same, of course, but it'll still be good enough. But these games are going to be released before the Valve game is. Valve does things on their own time. So
as you said last podcast, like, if they would open up, then they would have a crazy user base. Like, so many people would join this platform and would really become a customer. So they are missing out right now. I think a lot of people would totally by now just be like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Just give me freaking games. And if that's Oculus exclusives, whatever. So we'll see.
At least we have Revive, and Revive isn't going anywhere, because Palmer Luckey put some money into Revive a while back. So I think
Revive is a blessing. Revive is a blessing. SideQuest is a blessing. Thank you, thank you to everyone who is putting time into open VR in that sense. It's amazing. Then we have Eric Hartley, who played Groundhog Day, Battle Wake, Ballistic NG, and more Elite Dangerous in VR, plus some fun, not yet released Quest stuff, and a lot of Untitled Goose Game on flat PC and Switch.
I knew he was going to mention that game. I've been playing that Goose Game as well on the Switch. I completed it this morning. It's hilarious. So it's basically just it's not a VR game. I should preface that, but basically it's a game on Switch and PC where you play a goose, and you basically just waddle around and honk at people, and you're just a jerk. Like the goose is a real jerk. He just upsets people, ruins their day, but it's the funniest game ever. Like I love it. I completed it this morning. It's super short, like 3 hours, but a lot of fun.
So there's no Labo VR support? Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
That would be Goose Vision. Oh my god,
you
that would be
maybe
amazing.
use that. That would.
It's like the ass of the bird then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And then
would
you
work.
can honk. Oh yeah.
I need to reach out to them. I need to reach out to them and tell them that this exists. Yeah.
You should. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this week I've been stuff out. Like you'll probably notice in the background here, I've got this Subpac M2. It's the sort of limited edition Beat Saber edition, which is really cool. Subpac and Beat Saber were kind enough to send one out for me to check out this week. So I've been testing that out with a bunch of games and different headsets as well to see how it works on different platforms. Of course, playing a lot of Beat Saber with it, which is, what it's all about because it's branded that way. But if you don't know what a Subpac is, Zim talks about it quite a lot on the show. He's sort of like the Subpac aficionado. But basically, the way I've been using it is using Bluetooth with my PC and then using the audio mirror in Steam VR or in Oculus Home to basically mirror the audio source from the headset to the Subpac. And then when you play a game, basically all the deep bass in the game gets on your back. So especially games like Beat Saber, it's perfect for that. You really feel the music as well as hearing it as well, and that's really what it's designed for.
It's like a subwoofer, right? It's like a backpack with a subwoofer built in. It's not a haptic suit. I do sometimes see people being confused, but it's just a bass.
Yeah, exactly. The way I would describe it is that if you ever went to like a music event and you stood next to the speaker and you feel the bass going through your body, that's exactly what it feels like wearing one of these. So you're right. It's good for like music games, but it's not like a haptic vest for all games. And this is the thing. Like I was testing it out, of course, with Beat Saber, but I wanted to try it out with the Quest. And the PSVR, and with the Quest, obviously you can't connect it via Bluetooth, so you have to use like the 3.5 millimeter cable comes in the box with it. And I thought, well, what would be a good game to play on the Quest with it? So I was looking through the store, and then I ended up playing Racket NX with this, and Racket NX has got an awesome soundtrack to it, like a really thumping soundtrack. So it actually turned out to be like the perfect game to play this with. And I really got into it actually. And I feel like it added more to the experience than when I previously played Racket NX. And I was really digging it. And I ended up like playing it for a lot longer than I anticipated. And, Racket NX, if you're not familiar with the game, it's basically like a mix of like Breakout and Squash in VR. So if you can imagine like a squash court, and you've got a racket, and in Racket NX, it's like a 360 court, and then there's like glowing tiles on the wall, and you've got to like kind of hit the ball into those tiles to shut them off. That's kind of like the breakout element of it. But it's just a lot of fun, and the music keeps you pumped, and you can turn around 360 without having to worry about wires because you're using the Quest. So it's really a great experience to use this and have some fun and get a bit of exercise in VR. So if you haven't tried Racket NX, go check it out on the Quest. And if you're interested in the Subpac, it is quite expensive for what it is.
It is quite expensive. And it's funny that someone even mentioned, he said like, oh, that's another, toy for like VR nerds that have a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, he's right, because it is expensive and still expensive, because I own a Subpac for, I think, 2 years now. And of course, this is this limited edition. You pay maybe a bit too much for, in the end, what you see is like they put like a sticker or I don't know how they did it, but they put like the Beat Saber thing over it. But you can also just buy a standard one that does exactly the same thing. Maybe it looks cooler this way, but the black one is also super clean.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I wouldn't say it's essential. I wouldn't say it's an essential purchase. It is expensive. It's like $350, £350. But if Beat Saber is like your jam, and like Beat Saber is the only game you play. Yeah, like say, people like Rage Sack, and I know some Beat Saber streamers got them as well because they're dedicated to Beat Saber. If you're into it that much, then I would say go for it, because it really does add to the experience. And I can't see me wanting to play. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Like, because Beat Saber and Racket NX are all like very physical games, and these things they kind of like make you sweat a lot. And to have something like a backpack on there, is there like some kind of like cushioning in between, like in the thing, or is it like really like straight to your back? Because that's gonna make like it's gonna get like soaked.
Yeah. So So it is quite slim, but yeah, it is straight on your back because the subs need to like kick on your back. But more like when I get hot, I'm normally hot more around my face than anywhere else. When I play like VR and get really sweaty, so it's not too bad. But yeah, like I was saying, it's not essential for most VR games, but if you like music rhythm games, then maybe go check it out. But I am actually planning to play it with a PSVR this weekend, playing Firewall, because I'm interested to see in a shooter experience if it adds more to the experience, like with the gunshots and stuff.
It's interesting.
Like, to test that.
From my experience, it's really rhythm-based titles that you want to play with that. But like haptic suits, like for example the one from B Haptics, it's like very limited of what you can do right now. If you want to feel a gunshot in your left or right, then you need to hope that the Firewall devs, for example, made support for that. And there's no existing thing that does that. And with the Subpac, it can't really direct you in that sense. Of course, it can point out danger. I mean, if an explosion of a grenade is very close, then you will hear more bass. But it's still bass, and it's not the impact you feel.
The ideal thing would be if like a company like this would actually get picked up by something bigger, and then you would get like integration into all of the games that those people make. I think if you get something like this, that will really push that technology forward, since then people get to experience that, and it makes more sense to buy something because it's for a lot more titles.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning, like with the Subpac, this is for music aficionados as well. So like if you want to listen to your favorite music, you could hook this up to your phone, for example, and listen to your music this way as well, not just Beat Saber or VR. But to compare it to like the B Haptics, haptic vest, it's different. Like with the B Haptics, it's very precise when it's implemented in a game, but it's not as strong. Whereas I think this does give a punchier kick, but of course it's just on your back. So that's the biggest difference, I would say.
True.
But very cool nevertheless. And I appreciate them sending it out. And I'll be covering it in more detail when I get back from OC6. So let's jump into some news then. First bit of news this week is some spicy news.
Oh, spicy?
Spicy.
Okay.
Because last week on the podcast, we talked about the specs, of course, for the brand new VR headset from HTC, the Vive Cosmos. We were finally blessed with the information that we wanted. And one of the things I said, during the specs that I was concerned about was the controllers. Now, the reason why I was concerned about the controllers was that if you look at what the Windows mixed reality controllers do, they use light tracking similar to that of this new Cosmos. It uses light tracking as well. So if you look at the Cosmos controllers, they've got this kind of like tribal looking pattern on the controller ring, and that's there so the headset cameras can track the controllers in your physical space, and then they're represented in the virtual world playing a VR game. Now, the problem with using light tracking technology is what we found with the Windows mixed reality platform is that it's very power intensive, because essentially you've got two bright torches in your hands that are shining light out, so they're going to be draining power very quickly. Exactly. So Oculus use a different method. They use infrared, which is more power efficient, and they only use a single AA battery for their controllers, and they last surprisingly a long time for what they do. But anyway, we were concerned about the battery life. Another guy out there was clearly concerned about it as well, reached out to HTC and said, look, can these controllers be rechargeable? And HTC responded by saying, no, they take AA batteries, but you'll get 2 hours of nonstop gaming out of them. And this got screenshotted. Rowdy shared it. I shared it on Twitter. A few of us were asking for HTC for clarification as well, if this was true or not. We got no response. But you got to bear in mind, these Cosmos controllers, they take 2 AA batteries, and then if they're only lasting 2 hours, per session, that's 4 AA batteries you're replacing like each 2 hours, which is insane. Like we've never seen anything like this in VR. Like even Windows mixed reality wasn't that bad. So a lot of people out there were like, yeah, don't worry about it. The Vive account wasn't verified that posted this reply. So I was like, okay, fair enough. I'll wait for them to officially respond. They didn't. But then Tested obviously got their early hands-on with the Cosmos, and then stated in their video review as well, 2-hour battery life. So again, it adds more credibility to the fact that this is what came out whether it's true or not, again, we still don't know 100%, but I think it's going to be likely to be the case. But what do you guys think of this, like a 2-hour battery life?
Well, first of all, I see Eric saying that the screenshot that got posted showed a unverified HTC Vive account. So that could be that. But then it's weird, like there is something fake coming out, but then tested comes out, and then it kind of backs each other up. Well, it could be that someone tried to make fake news, and then in the end, it actually became something that is, actually.
But apparently, it wasn't an unverified account, because if you go into the conversation, when you scroll down a conversation, then for some reason that tick is not always apparent. Since he shared another screenshot of it as well. That
I
showed
see
that.
Another thing that I do see is that, and again, this is Eric Hartley against whatever. He says also that Norm stated he had heard reports of 2 hours battery life, not experiencing it himself.
So you think that this could be fake news?
The thing is, if this is fake or not, right now, it's like you have a social media account. This person who's running the social media account of HTC Vive is wearing sandwiches on their ears and is not posting anything. If right now, technically it's hurting sales because people are like, I don't know. Or they wait, they don't pre-order, because usually pre-ordering is like, you don't know what you're going to get into. But this is kind of slowing that down a little bit. I would first want to see when this comes out, if that's true or not. I mean, 2 hours seems very, very unlikely. That's like below what consumers expect. 2 hours is what are we talking about? What is at least like a decent amount of hours to have a controller in this year, 2019?
I think Oculus did it right.
I feel like my controllers, usually when I play with controllers, and I don't play like, let's say 6 hours a day. I feel like usually after a week I need to charge them, and then
that's reasonable.
And that's with the touch. That's with even the index controllers. That's quite normal, I think.
Yeah. But like you said, this is the thing. If I was HTC and seeing all this, I'd be like getting right on it, confirming it or denying it. Either way,
that annoyed me too. It annoyed me so much that I was like, I'm just gonna text some people who work there, and then they don't respond, and in the middle they just post all these reviews again of all like CNET this and that. Like, did you see that review of CNET saying like, wow, 90 hertz, it's amazing? I'm like, in what age do we live? Are we like they give it to you could say they give it to the wrong people, but actually they give it to the right people, because these people don't really know. Where if they give it to you, it's like you get a different story. But with them, it's like, wow. And this does good on social media. If you have all these, let's say, CNETs posting together, it gets this positive vibe of like, oh yeah, this is good.
It's so funny. It's like these websites, like when they test these VR headsets, it's like that's the last time they tried a headset was the last review they did of the other headset. It's not like they're playing with VR in between, Yeah,
exactly.
It's just
you need to I think if you're a tech website, at least you need to take your responsibility. If you're more like all over the place, then you can't blame them for not having tried every headset. But talking about 90 hertz is like the next big thing. I'm like, I don't know, that should be standard by now in some way.
I reached out to them as well, and I kept on I think they were getting a bit irritated by how many questions I asked them, because I kept on going. First they said that they had no specifics. And then they said that there were specifics, but they weren't allowed to share them yet, which I find strange for a controller battery life. And then the last thing they said is that they have specifics, but they're not sharing them at the moment. But that they can assure multiple hours of gameplay time. And also they mentioned that it varies according to the game. So if you play a game with a lot of haptics, then they will decrease in battery. If you don't use them, then they'll last a very long time.
I feel like you're asking it to someone who doesn't really know what this product is and how it works. It's like, this sounds like they're hiding the fact that it might be 2 hours, but I don't think that's the case. It's communication that just kicks in. They don't know, and because of these answers, they make themselves more suspicious while they don't really know what's going on. It's so stupid. Like, please, HTC, get someone behind your social media accounts that you could just simply, it's not 2 hours, it's actually longer, and that's it. And then you just wait until it comes out and you give the actual hours. Fine, but this is bad for your consumers, for the people that want to buy this, are maybe have their money in there and are now like, maybe I should pull back. It's so stupid. It's such a shame. And I feel like, I don't know about you all, but this could be the last, like if you keep doing stuff like this, like it hurts, and then it could also be your last consumer headset in that case. I think arcade wise they're doing great, but they're not just doing that well with consumers. There's like this gap between them, consumers, and them asking questions, and what the heck? I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. I totally agree. Although, obviously it's not officially confirmed yet, but that's the rumor anyway. I thought I'd address it on the show.
It does sound like a rumor for sure.
If you've pre-ordered one, like me, I pre-ordered one, and you're concerned about battery life, I would suggest that you invest in some rechargeable batteries anyway, even if it's not 2 hours that they last. And I would recommend the Panasonic Eneloops. They're really good rechargeable batteries. You can get them on Amazon. But yeah, we'll see. Obviously, as soon as we get back from Connect, it's going to be here.
And
so
also,
we'll let you know.
Also, I know that for a fact that people from HTC are listening to our podcast. If someone is listening now and is like, yeah, maybe we should, I mean, we're happy to give a statement. If they have an answer, we're happy to tell everyone here that it might have been fake, it's real, whatever. Just reach out to us. I mean, we're open for that. Right now, we're also like in the dark with stuff like this, and it sucks for everyone.
Yeah, it does. Agreed. So that is the news about the Vive Cosmos controllers. Next bit of news is about a company. Do you guys remember Leap Motion?
Yeah.
Of
course.
Not to be confused with Magic Leap, of course.
Always.
A lot of people
it's so
get
annoying.
them confused. So Magic Leap is the AR headset that's being developed in Silicon Valley. Leap Motion is a company that made this kind of small little device. You placed it on the front of your headset, and it basically provided controllerless finger tracking. And it actually worked very well, right? You tried it, Nathie. You tried it, Rowdy. I tried it as well. I thought it was really cool. But this was like really cool around the DK1, DK2 days. Like they sort of released some tech demos, which were really fun. You could like manipulate cubes with your hands. It was really satisfying.
Alt space, like giving handshakes and stuff.
Alt space, you could have finger tracking, which was again really cool. But no one really implemented Leap Motion other than Alt Space. I don't know if VR Chat did as well, but not many games actually implemented like Leap Motion support, right?
No.
Which was a big shame because I thought it was really interesting technology. And like I said, it worked pretty well. But since then, Leap Motion have sort of developed Project North Star, which we talked about a long time ago on the podcast, which is like a low-cost, open source DIY AR headset, which is really cool. But again, you need to build it yourself, and it's really just for developers right now. But we had some interesting news this week about Leap Motion because they're going to be merging with a UK-based company called Ultra Haptics. So Leap Motion, Ultra Haptics, they're basically merging together to be called Ultraleap, which is kind of a cool name. And at least then this kind of stops the confusion with Magic Leap.
Yeah, that's true. That's nice. That's a positive already.
Separates them out a little bit. But as I was doing some research about this, I was looking into Ultra Haptics. Never heard of the company before. Didn't realize they were a UK-based company. But they're developing some really interesting technology for haptic feedback called Stratos. And it uses ultrasound, right? Get this, to create rich three-dimensional shapes and textures that can be felt in midair without any glove or anything else. This is super weird. I've never seen anything like this before. So basically what they do is they have this like panel on the ground with a Leap Motion to track your hand. And they use these ultrasound transducers. So think about like a subwoofer, but for ultrasound in this panel. And it's like shooting, I don't know, like air or like waves at your hand to make you kind of feel a bit like of a tactile button in midair. I was like, this is like mind blowing. This is next level. So as I sort of got deeper down,
is it ultrasound? Did they actually say that it's ultrasound?
Yeah, ultrasound. Yeah. So apparently you can't see it, but you can feel it. And they had this video. I don't know if I sent you the link, but they had this demo with like a water, like a colored water, and then they were firing it at the water, and then you could see these like unique shapes being portrayed in the water. So it's almost like you would think it's jets of air, but apparently it's ultrasound. It blew my mind. I didn't quite understand.
So it's very you can't see. Wow.
So it's very loud, like sound that you can't hear as well.
I guess so. I don't really understand.
Normally because I mean ultrasound is often used in like in clinic, of course, when they do an echo or like an ultrasound for like seeing like something is wrong with you, or like if you're pregnant or something like that. So what it basically does, it's like, I think it has to do with the frequency of the waves, and not like with like any kind of motion, as far as I can, because I don't think you want to like shake the baby up when you like do like some kind of echo. So I mean, sound is always like a form of vibration, like it's like a movement of air, but at the same time, I'm wondering a little bit, like, what kind of technique they're using in terms of like getting that vibration like feelable.
And
it has
so
to do
precise
something with the frequency, I guess, because the more densely they're compact,
and to make it feel like a button as well. Like, that's crazy. But anyway, like, I sort of went off on a bit of a tangent there. But anyway, these two companies are kind of like merging, forming together to become Ultra Haptics. And it kind of got me thinking, this partnership in the future could be bringing out some really interesting stuff. So I thought it'd be worth mentioning on the show. If nothing else, at least we're not going to be confused with Magic Leap and Leap Motion anymore.
So in the chat, they're saying they would be interested in Rowdy doing a science episode about ultrasound.
Yeah, exactly. I think for the time being, like, this company is in Bristol, so it's not a million miles away. Maybe I can reach out to them, go and see them. But I think that they're really aiming for like the business markets right now. And the way that they kind of were saying that it could be used in is like car dashboards. So instead of having physical buttons, you would have like these like, buttons in air basically that you could feel and touch. It kind of blew my mind, so I thought it was kind of interesting to talk about on the show.
I do think there's a lot of future in this technology, because I think indeed, like in order to get like the ultimate kind of like hand feeling, we need some kind of feedback. Maybe sound is indeed, or like wind or like something like that is indeed an ideal thing to like get to. But I'm wondering like what kind of frequencies they need to use in order to really like get that feeling of like a button, or get like a. It's interesting nonetheless. It's completely
Zim
different
wouldn't be
from
happy.
the technology they use in the clinic, though.
Yeah, Zim wouldn't be happy. We know
not?
that he doesn't like those radio waves penetrating his head.
These are sound waves. That's nothing. To do
I
with
know.
But you never know. I actually saw him at Area 51 with this aluminium kind of like hat on, this tinfoil hat, and he was like, I was like, "What are you doing there?" I think he
got in. Or he got out. He's the one who got out.
Yeah, he got out. He escaped. Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's the thing. I should have said that's where he was, but
yeah, it would have been fun. It's funny that yesterday I met someone, and they were like asking, "Oh, you're leaving, on Sunday?" I was like, "What are you gonna do there?" So like, I'm going to Area 51 with like the serious face, right? I was like, "Yeah, but because they're aliens, right? I heard that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And please be careful, because there were like these two Dutch YouTubers that got arrested, right? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I want to be famous. I mean, if you want to get famous, you go to Area 51, apparently.
Because your Naruto run.
Yeah,
exactly. Dude, that's hilarious.
Oh, funny. Okay.
Stuff. Yeah. So next bit of news, completely unexpected, really, and that is that Batman Arkham VR now has full index controller support.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, the team at Rocksteady Studios tweeted out this week, Batman is renowned for having the latest tech for fighting crime, and we want to make sure that you have the tools to keep up with him. So from today, you can now jump into Batman Arkham VR with full Valve Index controller support.
That's brilliant, though. I like that comment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially, like, if you think about it, this game's like 2.5 years old.
Yeah, it is.
It was good, though. It was one of the better ones.
It was good.
It has been an exclusive for so long on PlayStation VR. It's crazy.
Yes.
And I wonder, would this be, is this because the people that are now buying, it's like, I have Valve Index, what's going on with your game? Or is it because they wanted, like, they're like, maybe we should do this? I wonder.
I think they wanted to. I think they genuinely wanted to, yeah. And I would love them to make another Arkham VR game, because, if you played it,
but Rocksteady should just make, like, they should definitely go back into VR for sure.
Yeah, because it left on a bit of a cliffhanger. If you haven't tried it, if you never played it originally, and you've got an index and you're like, oh, I need games to play, and you haven't played this, like, go check it out. It's only an hour long. I think that's the only downside, but it's very polished. Graphics look great, and also, like, putting on the cowl for the first time and descending into the Batcave, like, that actually gave me goosebumps the first time I tried it. Yeah. So
it's not free,
definitely recommend it.
Important to note.
It's not free. No, It's not free. However, to celebrate the update, the game is currently 50% off on Steam, so you can pick it up for £7.49 or $10.
Well, at least it's not based on a movie in that sense, where they try to sell this.
Yeah.
Well,
Jumanji.
Jumanji.
Yeah. But coming face to face with the Joker is.
Oh yeah,
is cool, really cool. But yeah, like you said, it was originally a PSVR exclusive, and then it came out about 6 months later, I think, to PC VR.
Meanwhile, Resident Evil still waiting.
Oh my God, don't even get me started on that game. But yeah, I think it's cool that, like I said, if you haven't played it and you own an Index, you want content, definitely go check it out. Right. Cool. Last bit of news this week about a brand new game launched on Kickstarter this week called Panther VR. Now, this is from developers from your motherland, Nathie.
Yeah.
Dutch developers, Wolfdog Interactive. If you don't know who they are, they previously developed VR Dungeon Night, and they were also involved with the development of Skyworld alongside Vertigo Games, who made Arizona Sunshine, of course, also Dutch studio.
Very awesome guys, by the way. Really nice guys.
Oh, you met these guys from...
Yeah, they were at the Vertigo party as well.
Oh, they were there. So they must work in the same building then, I guess.
I don't know. I don't think they work in the same building.
No, Vertigo. I think Vertigo was their publisher for.
Back then, it was their publisher, and then they branched out and started their own game studio.
That makes sense. So you met these guys. Did they mention this game at all, or was it still like NDA?
They mentioned they haven't because of course it was a big secret, but because they've been trying to get me over to their office to try some new stuff out for a while. But I've been just with the PhD and stuff, I've been so busy that I haven't been able to check it out yet. But no, they're really awesome guys though. Yeah.
Well, the latest title is called Panther VR. It's a stealth game where you are part of this organization called the Guild. It's an international secret organization of master thieves, and basically they're working for the highest bidder, so you can contract them out to go steal something for you. So basically, when you get these contracts, you have to plan out each heist by choosing the right weapons and the right gadgets to pull the heist off. And then you can either go in full stealth mode, or you can go really loud and just make sure no one's breathing by the end of the mission.
It looks really cool. I really like also that they did they went for a little bit more of a cartoony style. It suits it so well, and that makes everything look in VR so much better, I always think, because you have those cel shaded graphics a little bit more. So I like the look of it.
So when is this coming out?
So it's on Kickstarter right now.
Oh, it's a Kickstarter. Okay.
Kickstarter, yeah. Their goal is for it to be in the hands of backers for April next year. Okay. And backers will get early access. So what the Kickstarter right now, they've raised about £5,000 of their £13,000 Kickstarter goal, but they've literally just started it. It's got 42 days left, so they've got ages to go.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I was like, Aspire 1 is coming out soon. I was like, are you seriously trying to put it on the store at the same moment? But they're still in development. So
I think there's enough room in the market for games like this, though, because people like this. Because after you finish Aspire 1 or after you finish Panther and you like that kind of stuff, you're probably going to go and play another one of those titles. You're going to look for what else is there that's kind of similar. So maybe it's a good thing to release it kind of similar.
Maybe.
Because they might be growing together out of it.
Well, you can only release your game once, Space Junkies, for example, you know what happens. So
that's true. Although they're not making the same mistake with Space Junkies. This is
that's a
reasonably priced
story, but yeah.
This is €20 to back it. You get early access to the game. You get access to the developer Discord, and you also get your name in the credits as well as a backer. But like Rowdy said, I really like the art style. I think, like he said, it works well in VR. Check out Borderlands. That game looked beautiful in VR, even though it was an old game. But with this Panther VR, there'll be 4 game modes. There's a single player story campaign. There's contracts, which are short, action-packed combat missions. And then you've got missions, which are randomly generated levels. So they're always going to be different, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
And then you've also got challenges where you can compete on online leaderboards to see if you can get the best score or best time or whatever. Yeah. So they've got some interesting stuff lined up for this game.
This Kickstarter is to kind of build hype for it and to get people involved, or they really need to have this Kickstarter succeeded to make it happen? What's the...
I think if the goal is 13,000, I think it's to bring it out still and to publish it and get that little bit of nudge of support, because I mean, developing a game costs a lot of money, especially in this day and age, especially if you do it for VR nowadays. So I think that 13,000 is way below what probably the prices of
and also game. We should remember that they were the ones that made I think they made Skyworld, right? I think they did. So for them, it's also like this is an extra kind of like, thing,
Boost,
like build some hype through this and kind of have people involved. I think it's a good way to go.
Yeah, I like the look of it. Especially, I like the look of like the grappling hook mechanic and crawling through vents. Like that was such a really cool. That was such a cool experience playing budget cuts. Being in a vent, looking down through a vent is a really cool experience in VR. So if they can pull that off, then I think it's going to be a really cool game. The only thing is that it's only PC VR from what I've seen so far. No mention of Quest or PSVR ports yet. Depending on their funding, I guess they could push one out, but we'll see. So yeah, that is the news this week. So as Zim's not here, Nathie's taking the helm for releases next week.
Hide, everyone. Hide.
He's got some interesting games.
Just realized now, like, oh crap.
Oh crap. I knew I had to do something.
Usually if you do ask, it's like, oh yeah, crap, now I need to do this, so let's just make the best out of it. But funny enough, this time I spent some extra time into finding also some silly games, because that I always enjoy, like I'm sure you also enjoy that, where Zim is like talk about Temple of Pizza and stuff. It's great. Yeah. So I like at the end you're in for a treat. It's amazing. I'm already laughing from the inside right now. It's so funny. Okay, so let's start off with some, like, we're going from decent to no, it's not ranked like that. That would be unfair. It's like from best to the most shitty thing ever. No, we're not gonna go there. That's not cool. Okay, let's start with the most, I think, the most hyped title of all this week, Groundhog Day, Father Like Son. This is a virtual reality and narrative adventure that takes place in the world of the film Groundhog Day. Have you all watched it?
Nope.
It's a classic. It's so funny. It's amazing. It's an old one, but I mean Bill Murray, who can,
Bill Murray at his finest.
Yeah, exactly. So you step into the role of Phil Connors Jr., the son of Phil Connors from, again, the movie. And you return to that one classic town, only to become trapped in a time loop, just as your father once was. Yeah, but then in VR. It's even worse, I think, because it's like, I can't feel the walls anymore. Where am I? So as a player, you will have to solve puzzles and explore the town to try to break out of the time loop. It's like a puzzle game, and it's cool that Sony decided to make something based off the movie Groundhog Day, because there hasn't been a new Groundhog Day movie at all. But instead of doing that, they can still make video games. So it now has a video game, and it's in VR. So I think it's an honor for, let's say, the VR community to have such an awesome movie, like having a game now in VR. Yeah, it's only VR. I don't think you can play it Pancake.
We got a question from the chat. Is it also going to be on Quest?
I don't know about that. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But the price of this game is $30. It's quite expensive. I don't know how much playtime it has. From videos, I wasn't really attracted to it. But I think the moment you're maybe in there, then things start to roll, and it's this story really takes you on an adventure. I did also see it's only teleportation for now, but usually if everyone starts to bomb developers, then it does seem like it's kind of built into the game. It's not. I don't think they can really change it in this case. Just like Arctica 1, where it was a shooter and you just had scenes where you could go to, and if you had to walk there, you would fall through the floor basically. So the platform is Steam, PlayStation VR, and Oculus Home. No standalone. It's or PC or console. PC VR.
According to the chat, the playtime is about 5 to 6 hours. Paradise Decay says.
Okay, so but I do think it's polished. I do think it's like a polished, like from start to end. I still need to try it, so don't believe me here.
Yeah. Quick question about this one: is it by the same developers that did the Invisible Hours?
That is a good one. I have to. I think the developer of this one is called Tequila Works. Is that this? No, I don't think that's the same one. But people did compare it to Invisible Hour, and they said it did the same.
Tequila Works. That's Invisible Hours, no?
Is it? You can double check if you want, but
I remember people saying that it had similar vibes. I wasn't sure if it was the same developer, but I thought Zim would like this one because he enjoyed the Invisible Hours so much. So it'd be interesting to get his take on it if you got to try it.
Yeah, it's the same developer?
Yeah.
Nice.
According to the chat, it is indeed.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We
Nice.
always believe the chat, you know. They're,
Yeah.
they're solid. Okay,
trust
next
you
up
guys.
we
The
have
real MVPs.
Once. Now I
Ah,
do think one of you two has like spent so much time on Once. Yeah, it must be.
I
Okay,
did.
Rowdy. So Rowdy, did you think of this game Once?
Oh, it's a very solid title if you're into like magical duels. That's like really the go-to one to go to. They have released it on so many platforms as well. It's available on Rift, Vive, Quest. It's on Oculus Go. It's on so many different kind of platforms. And I like the way that you can like build like skills and sets in your wand, so you can make different wands to have like different play styles. It's really well done.
So,
Yeah.
so can I quote you on this? Like, it's the go-to game to go to, Rowdy, 2019.
If you like magical duels, yeah, for sure.
And
it's
just
really
just to
good,
sort of highlight, again, what Rowdy said, constructing your wand for the perfect loadout, it's a lot deeper in terms of those mechanics than you originally give it credit for. It's quite deep competitive multiplayer game.
I think I played it against Mike, but I was really bad at it. I don't know. I can't remember.
You played it against me as well.
Wait.
As well?
You couldn't beat me and your Malfoy? Like, what's going on there?
I got my hair done, so I don't kind of. Oh, okay, man. I still kind of look like him from the future, maybe. So yeah, again, Once is a first-person VR experience that offers fast-paced magic duels against other players online. And in game, you have to equip your wand with a wide variety of spells and battle other wielders for fame, power, and glory in the fantastic realms of the beyond. So that's like what you just said, but then it's like the fancy store version that lurks you into
Basically,
buying it.
It's Harry Potter Wizard Duels in VR.
Yeah. That reminds me of that fantastic beast. Okay, I'm not going there. Never mind.
Oh, God, no.
So the price $10, and the platform is Oculus Quest. That's like the release now. You could also play it on Go, but it's now on the Quest as well. Yes. Okay. Now we go to some DJing. So if you have a Subpac, then you can combine this very nicely. We're not, by the way, that I don't think you said it at the start, but we just got it for free. We're not getting paid to promote Subpac.
No.
So just by saying that, I made myself suspicious, right?
You did.
A little bit.
No, you're right. We're not paid by them.
I just wanted to make that cool like crossover that Mike always does, but I failed. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's go. Tribe is a Tribe XR DJ school. That's what this app is called. It's not a game. It's a simulation basically. And what they said on the store is that Tribe is a fully functioning pro-style CDJ deck and mixer system. I'm not into DJing, so I have no idea what I'm saying. In this VR app, you can import your own music and do back-to-back sets with friends from anywhere in the world. So let's say you want to learn how to DJ, and you have a friend that is very good at it on the other side of the planet, then you can jump in together. And by watching the trailer, I think it's awesome that you can have other people in there that can, learn you the basics. I don't know if you could be the DJ and then party with other people in there as well. I don't know if that's working, if you can really hear what the other person is doing. If that's the case, you can also build a little party in there. Have you ever seen, of course, VR chat has these crazy dance parties that you should not miss, where they drink champagne and not get drunk because virtual reality. But I've never really seen something like this before in that simulation, kind of like.
So I remember an old video of Josh Dub before he went crazy viral.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think he does DJing in real life as well. So he was doing a DJ set in VR, and dude, he was crushing it. Like I was like, hell yeah, this is sick. So go and check out his video. I don't know what program he was using, but it was really cool.
How is it called? Like an Audi
audio surf.
Didn't Servius make a title like that as well?
Oh no, it wasn't that one. It was a proper legit
Electronauts. No, that wasn't it.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Electronauts. It was like a proper, like this one, like a DJ simulation.
Yeah.
Thing.
True.
Yeah.
That's another topic. What happened to Electronauts? Next up, we. Oh no, wait! I still need to mention the price. Of course, I'm so sorry. The price $20. It's very specific, of course. I mean, if you like DJing, then I think $20 is a good price. The platform is Oculus Quest, and I think it was on PC before, but yeah, again, it's now on Oculus Quest, so I just say that's a new release. Then we have Cavedigger. And Cavedigger is a virtual reality mining game for the Vive, Rift, Windows MR headsets, Valve Index. What else do we nowadays have? Soon the Vive Cosmos as well. I'm sure that's going to work. 2, Pimax, 3D Head. Okay. And now also the Oculus Quest. The Razer, yeah, of course, the Razer one. How is it called again? OSVR headset.
Yeah.
You might get it work on like the DK2 as well. Who knows? But
Acer Oho.
Acer Oho, the Vario maybe as well. Xtal. Okay. No, it's not. Yeah. Also cardboard. No. Okay. Oculus Quest. It's now on Oculus Quest. And this game takes place in a small western town. You have to gear yourself up with secondhand tools or devices. You jump into an elevator that will take you deep down into a mine, and then you export a rich, mines that are just waiting for the honest hired workers to whack their pickaxes at. Yes. Howdy, Rowdy. This is something Rowdy would totally like. I think Rowdy played this before.
I have played it before, but a long time ago. It isn't really my kind of thing. I mean, it's fun for a little while, but it gets a bit repetitive for me. Maybe with this new update, I might check it out. But
how deep did you go in the end?
Not that deep.
Oh, okay.
Not that deep at all.
So in the chat, they're also asking about Labo VR support. I don't know. I have no news on that yet, but who knows? We'll see.
With Cavedigger though, I remember the original on PC being free, right?
Yes, but that was a demo. That was a demo. I don't know if this demo is still available, and the demo was decent. I don't know about that anymore, but this is not free. It's $20 as well, just like the other one. And it's on Oculus Home, because obviously Oculus Quest runs on Oculus Home. Yeah, there you go. So that's cool. Cavedigger. Next up, we have Traveling Well Black. This is from Felix and Paul Studios. You know, I'm a very big fan of their work. You know, they make awesome 360s, one of the best ones out there. Traveling Well Black is a cinematic VR experience that immerses the viewer in a long history of restriction of movement for Black Americans and the creation of safe spaces in our communities. This new story from Felix and Paul highlights the urgent need to not only remember the past, but to learn from it and facilitate a dialogue about the challenges minority travelers still face today. And that is free. That is completely free.
Yeah. I think this is awesome. I think it's such a great idea. And I think it's a great learning tool for schools, you know, kids should try this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's like a different kind of medium in order to like put a perspective on certain things that like a lot of people don't have any understanding of. So
well, like, you know, and you know, I can say as a person of, you know, privileged person that I've never had been discriminated against either. So, you know, something like this can really open up your eyes to that. And I think it's a conversation, and VR is such a powerful medium that, you know, you can have these important conversations in, you know, I think it's great.
Yeah, in this case, you can actually dive into someone who's Black and then experience what it can be like to be, you know. And this one is also on Oculus Home, because Felix and Paul have been always, as far as I know, dedicated themselves to the Oculus platform. And this is on Rift and Quest. So, and free once again. So,
also a quick note: Cavedigger, according to Paradise Decay, is indeed free on Steam, but it's the DLC that costs money, and the Quest is the game plus the DLC, hence therefore the price.
Thanks for the update. Yeah, thanks for the update. I can't remember what I was going to say now, but yeah, Felix and Paul, they make amazing, you know, content.
Yeah.
So.
Big fan.
I do remember what I was going to say now. I believe that this VR experience actually won an award, but I don't know what it was. So
good story, Mike. Good story.
Thanks.
Wow.
Good story, bro.
It won an award. It must be at some kind of film festival. That's for sure. That's all it was. It was. So while Mike is doing some proper research after saying what he said, we're just gonna move on to Art Plunge. So what do you think Art Plunge is all about, Rowdy? And don't cheat because you have like the trailer. It's about art. Yeah, it is. It is about art. Yeah, okay. But anything else? Art Plunge.
You plunge in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's right. You do plunge into art. So Art Plunge is a gallery in where you can get the feeling of being inside famous paintings. So what painting would you like to be in, Rowdy? If you could choose one painting.
The Scream.
The Scream? And then what would you do? Behind this man also scream, or or Naruto run behind him or something? I don't know.
Give him or her a reason to scream.
Okay. Also in the chat, let us know in what painting you would like to be. And if you don't know any paintings, then just let us know what kind of movie you would be in. Don't say Groundhog Day because you're gonna be stuck forever.
So just to clarify, Traveling While Black, it won. It had an Emmy nominee, so an Emmy Award nominee.
Oh yeah. Okay.
For Outstanding Original Interactive Program.
Okay. How could you forget that, Mike? Emmys.
I know, right?
Emmys.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Exactly. Well, now we know. Thank you. Thank you for adding something to my beautiful lineup so far.
You're welcome.
Okay, so so Art Plunge is a gallery in where you can jump into famous paintings. As I said before, this is not a game, by the way. Apparently, this developer is getting sometimes maybe refunds because like it's not a game. Why boring, blah blah blah. It's not a game, okay? It's more like an experience. So this is a shard, but not only shard experience, but also a sweet one, featuring virtual copies of the following 5 artworks. So the first one you can go into is the Mona Lisa. The second one is Starry Night. Then we have the Birth of Venus, the creation of Adam, and last but not least, girl reading a letter at an open window.
What a weird title, that last one.
Yeah, I think if you see the...
Very original. We put so much time in like thinking of titles for our YouTube videos, and these like so-called artists, they go in like, this is a girl reading a letter in an open window. There we go.
Someone should really name his game like that. Arcade game with teleportation mechanics.
Clickbaiters of all ages, that's what I say.
Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled wave-based shooter game or something. I don't know. This is $2. It's not that crazy. Again, this is for a specific audience, but I do think it's cool that you can dive into a painting. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, but if I was going to dive into a painting, I'd want to dive into an Escher painting in VR, really like blow my mind.
Okay, sorry that I offended you.
There's an experience like that.
There is?
Not Escher, but... I don't know. There is one.
Wow.
Like I'll do my research later on too.
And you are all going to Oculus Connect. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Good luck. Do you even know how to step into a plane? First of all,
I'll find that out. I'll find that still out.
The inputs in this podcast have been top notch this week.
This is amazing. Yeah. So, but Rowdy is right. There was this one experience from this. There's in China. There's like this famous. I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing, but there's like this famous painting that is almost 360. It goes around you. And when I was in China at HTC, their office, they showed me this. But in that one, it was more interactive, where you had to, solve puzzles in the painting itself. So it was more interactive. This is more of a 360 kind of thing. It's not room scale. You're kind of stuck in one place because originally this was an Oculus Go title. It's new on Steam, and you can check it out now.
The experience that I was talking about was actually from Salvador Dali. I just remember his name.
Yes, but that's also a 360 video.
It's also a 360 video. But that's really mind blowing though to do that. When you
that one is great.
Those elephants with like the long legs, Mike. Like those elephants with like extremely long legs. You go in between.
I've been watching The Dark Crystal, so yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the chat saying? What kind of paintings or movies do they want to be in? Do we have anything that stands out here?
Diego Velasquez Rokeby Venus. I don't know if that is actually a thing. Maybe they're just messing with us here.
Like that's the thing. I'm not an expert with paintings. Although, like, if I could pick one, I think the Night's Watch. I don't know if you know the Night's Watch from Rembrandt.
Yeah,
I think the Nachtwacht, as they also call it. I think that would be a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that one as well. Yeah.
It's because it's the only one you know. Or not? Is that not an excuse here? Okay, let's just keep that in the middle. Now the last one, the one I was so excited about. I can't wait until Rowdy starts playing the trailer.
I'll start now.
So get ready for Critter Kart. Critter Kart is an action-filled racing game featuring a variety of fluffy critters. Players can earn point streak rewards as they race to gain access to the more powerful abilities. Players may race alone or with up to 3 other friends in split screen matches. So you can be a freaking critter in a cart and then race against other critters. We have heard about Dash Dash World, touring carts, Dead Lab, and VR carts, but this is the game. This is the most anticipated card game.
Wait, this is actually in VR? Because like,
this is in VR.
The trailer only shows like, like the front view. There's no way that is a VR. Well, I hope that is not a VR.
Well, if you want, you can. I think there is some VR in this trailer too.
Jesus.
And funny enough, they have the exact same camera angles as touring cards, where you have like third-person critter mode and first person. It's also original, right? They all kind of do the same thing. But yeah, I saw this one. I was like, wow, this is standing out to me. I thought it was funny. Look at like if you shoot someone, they start tumble. Imagine doing that in VR. That's amazing. I like it when they go to the edge. But that's Critter Card, and as I said, it's split screen. It's not even multiplayer. So you you have to like it's a couch co-op, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how they came up with that idea, but it's local. Yeah, local card game. You can say whatever you want, but it is original. That's something else.
Wow.
And you want to know how much this is? How much would you pay for a game like this, Mike?
Like £6.
£6?
40 quid.
Okay. 40 quid with DLC, of course, later, right? Yeah. No, it's $5.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know, for $5. I don't know. This makes me very curious for some reason.
What kind of critter can you be? Like, can you?
Now you're going into specifics here. I don't know. You can, of course, have different colors, and they said fluffy, so you can be very fluffy. Maybe you can also unlock hats. I don't know. And you have abilities, so you can shoot at each other. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, right?
This is on PC.
This is indeed on PC. It's on Steam and also Oculus Home. So, yeah, Qual going well.
We'll be playing this next week then.
It's like Respawn is announcing a new title. Critter Card 2. Well, imagine this being their like flagship title that they're gonna announce, right? That would be something. So yeah, there you have it. Those are the releases. Amazing. But again, I'm not making fun out of this title in any way. I think seriously though, like every developer needs to start somewhere. And along the way, they make better and better games. And I do think this doesn't even look that bad. Like
no, visually it actually looks kind of okay.
Like it's an original title. Who comes up with freaking critters and cards? You got to be kind of creative for that to even come up with something like that in the first place. So I'm not hating. And seriously, if they send me a key, I'll try it and I tell on the podcast what I think about it. So that's a promise right now. I don't know if they watch this show, but and don't you dare chat, email, or like listeners. Don't you dare emailing them and triggering them to send me. Someone's going to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Well, then make sure that at least every one of us gets a key.
Yeah,
right?
We got to play it together.
Yeah,
local.
At home.
At OC6.
Local.
At OC6. Yeah. And that's it, Mike. Okay. So back to you. That was really fun.
Thank you, dude. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Of course, let's get into the juicy main topic this week, and that is our predictions for Oculus Connect 6, which takes place next week in California. So if you're not familiar, it takes place on Wednesday the 25th and Thursday the 26th of September. We're all heading out there. Zim is out there already. Nathie flies out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Me and Rowdy are heading out on Tuesday. I think we might even be on the same flight, so we can have some fun together.
Wow.
Full disclosure, the trip was sponsored by Oculus. They're paying for the flights and accommodation for everyone. Just thought I'd throw that out there, let you all know. If you can't make it to the event and you're interested, don't worry, because there's live streams of the keynotes, which are like the highlight of the event.
Yeah.
They take place at 10 a.m. And they're live streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and also you can watch the keynotes in VR using Oculus venues and big screen TV. So got plenty of options there to watch it. So that's kind of cool, especially because I think Oculus venues is still region locked from what I understand. Like last time I tried an Oculus Venues thing, it was locked to the US.
It's
I don't know
very
if that's
US
still the case now.
based.
Yeah,
I
let
hope
us know
it's
in the
not,
chat.
but yeah.
Yeah, but if not, you've got another option with big screen TV, which is
Yeah,
universal.
and I'm sure there are also like these external ones. If you play a certain social app, like I think Allspace is also gonna stream maybe, and there's some other VR chat. Who knows?
Yeah. We're going to be doing a podcast from the show as well, like we did last year. We'll record it on site at the show, and then we will premiere it on Saturday at the usual times. I'm not quite sure how we're going to work out with like Twitch and big screen and Facebook, but we'll figure something out. Or we'll let you know on social media.
Don't make any promises right now, because then
we'll always still be on YouTube though.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So you can check that out, and we'll give our thoughts direct from the show floor. But of course, let us know in the chat with your predictions as well as we go through this, because I'd be interested to know what you guys and girls think.
So before we go real deep into this juicy stuff, someone in the chat is saying, haha, gotta love the mustache someone drew on Mike in big screen when he's in the lower right-hand corner. So people are like,
people are trolling us.
Tweet us this stuff. If you want to draw something on our faces right now, I don't think we can sit still all the time, but if you want to be creative and make a painting out of us, you can be our guest.
Yeah, tag us on Twitter.
I want to see Mike with another. You already have a mustache, so I don't know what's going on. I should get one.
Bonus.
Yeah, bonus.
Yeah. So this year is kind of an interesting year for Oculus. By the way, our Twitter, if you want to tag us in a picture, is at FReality Crew on Twitter. But yeah, it's an interesting year this year at OC, because this year their tagline for the whole event was, "This is where the next chapter for AR and VR begins." So last OC, we were all there again together, and we saw the unveiling of the Quest, and they kind of said, this is our generation complete. We've got like the Oculus Go, we've got Rift, and we've got Quest, and that kind of completes the circle of life. And now we're ready to move on to our next project. So, this is probably what we're going to get, or what we're going to see at this event. So free to chip in your predictions, but obviously the biggest thing that has sort of jumped me is the mention of AR, because of course Oculus is a VR company. They've been predominantly focused on VR in the past. They've teased stuff that they've working behind the scenes on AR, during Michael Abrash's talks. He sort of hinted at the fact that they're doing that kind of stuff. And on previous episodes of the show, when I've talked about this, I kind of thought that my prediction was that they would implement more AR functionality using the pass-through modes of both the Quest and the Rift S. But of course, they're limited to the cameras, because, we know with the cameras, they're black and white. They're not that high fidelity. They're kind of good enough to have a quick look, but not perfect. So I'm kind of like thinking they might add something unique
but
there.
It's still AR. It's good to mention this, that AR is also looking through like a screen and then see something. It's like, for me, AR is really glasses, but it technically it is AR. So I'm not.
Yeah,
true.
So
pass through
AR can
is
mean
still
a
AR.
lot in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at this show, I think they will tease us with a new headset. I think that this headset will be both. My prediction is, of course, that it will be both VR and AR capable. So it will be a VR headset. Not sure if it will be a Rift 2 or if they'll come up with a brand new name for it. But it will have a full AR pass-through mode. So similar to what we've got already with the Rift S and the Quest, but it'll be full color stereo pass-through. And then you can deliver a compelling AR experience as well as a VR experience in a single headset. I think that would be a really interesting concept. But what do you guys think of that? Do you think they're going to announce a new headset, or do you think it'll be something else?
I don't think we really need a headset right now. Of course, we need a roadmap for the future.
Well, what Mike is actually saying is, are they gonna show what they're working on, show a new headset? That they're not really that they're gonna release one. No, I don't think so. Of course not.
Of course, a roadmap.
I mean, of course, a roadmap or some indication on what they're working on. I do think that makes sense to see what is the next step that they see as important for virtual reality, and obviously also AR, because if they put it in their tagline, it must be something that they're doing with it. So
they do that every time. I mean, we could see the first glimpses of a Quest 3 years ago. It was very basic. They didn't call it Quest. They called it something else. So they always show, they're not scared of showing something that they're going to release later down the road. So I'm sure we're going to see glimpses of what we can expect next.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's going to be a VR AR headset. I don't think it's going to be like a dedicated AR headset. I don't think that we're ready for that right now. I don't think it's going to be like a competitor to HoloLens or Magic Leap. So I think it is going to be a VR headset that is capable of AR pass through.
A bit like what Vive did, right? With Vive Pro, where they had this
Also,
exactly,
we don't know what direction they see AR going. I mean, it could also be that it's more like something that augments the virtual world, because that's also a form of augmented reality. That to bring your hands in better, or to bring like objects from your environment into the virtual world. It could be more like that rather than like a standalone AR kind of experience. Could be that as well.
Yeah, but like you rightly said, Nathie, it was way back at OC4, like the first Oculus Connect I ever went to, where they had the Project Santa Cruz, which was, of course, what the Quest turned out to be. And they were doing very early demos there, like behind the scenes. Like not everyone could get access to the demo, like only like real like high-end press could. So maybe at this event they might show off what they're working, and you might be able to demo it behind the scenes. But like you say, I wouldn't expect a new headset on the market until at least another year yet. Could be even longer, could be 2 years. But I think we will get at least a tease or an idea of what their vision is for the future anyway.
I think also a good question to ask is, do they want to use the Oculus brand as also their AR brand? Because they can also, maybe they invested into other companies that are more like, as you said, this is like AR, but it's still VR as well. So I think it's kind of taking small steps there for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. If I do think whatever they release, even if they did release a dedicated AR headset, I do think it would be under the Oculus brand. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do think it will be a combination of both in their next sort of generation Rift, whatever that will be. So that's going to be kind of interesting. But let's talk about what is more likely, and that is, let's talk about Quest as a whole. Now, obviously, Quest has done super well since its release. That's no secret. Developers are saying that their games are selling really well on the platform. So it's going to be interesting to see if they give us any official figures in terms of how many Quests have been sold, how much money they've made.
Have they ever done that before? Have they done it with the Rift, like the original Rift?
I think when they hit certain milestones, like originally when, like I think it was a week or two after the Quest launch, Andrew Bosworth of Oculus sort of said, "Oh, we've sold $5 million US worth of software." So maybe I think they're gonna, like, let's be honest about it. The Quest has done super well, So I think they're gonna be proud of that, and they're gonna want to share that. So hopefully we do get some.
It also
some information.
makes sense from just a business standpoint. Like if they do well on a certain platform, which the Oculus Quest has done, then it will attract more developers and more money will start going around in that platform as well. That's true. So I do expect to see a lot more new Quest titles being announced on OC6 as well.
They should for sure. Yeah.
Any other sort of Quest predictions you guys got, or any in the chat?
So I have one. I think Echo is coming to Quest. And that's just something I want. I'm not going to predict that, but I still think the Quest is front heavy. I don't think they can solve that right now, but they could introduce a better strap that just comes with the new line of, they did it with the Rift CV1 as well, where they slightly updated certain things. So you still want the same product, but it was a bit updated. I don't think they want to put like a stamp on a Quest where it's like Quest 2.0, because I think it's confusing the market. But they could do some work there. Maybe have an add-on. I don't know, but that would be nice for sure.
Well, also, I think that maybe it might make sense to like see more of like a homemade like social experience, like, because it's still owned by Facebook, to see something like that appearing on Oculus Quest, where people instead of like just go to Facebook, go to
because Facebook Spaces has been in development for so long. It's quite silent. I do expect them to still wanting to implement like a Facebook kind of system in there. As I said before, when I complained about not having Oculus rooms with Quest, they did say that they were about to announce something. If that's going to be something we have seen before with like, I think is going to happen is like what we have on PC right now with Oculus Rift is kind of going to be the same thing on, the loot box opens and you get some stuff, you can invite some friends in there. But honestly, I do like the Oculus Go system more still, because it was so fun. It was so social. I miss that
Yeah.
system on any other platform.
I totally agree. You know, Oculus Rooms on Go was
It's
an
so
amazing
good.
social experience, and being able to just hang out together, playing board games, you know, watching clips from Facebook,
Yeah.
sharing pictures, listening
Launching
to the
a game
radio.
from that exact platform.
Oh, yeah.
That is also amazing.
Launching a game from that platform. So I think my prediction is that the Oculus Rooms will come to the Quest, and I hope that it gets parity across Quest, Go,
please.
and Rift.
Would be good.
I think that would be awesome. But as definitely, like, you know, like we tried it, you know, this whole like launching thing. And if you've never seen it before because you've never tried the Oculus Go, let me sort of describe it for you. But basically, you can all be sitting on the couch together in VR in this home environment that you've customized, and you can say, right, let's play Dead and Buried, for example, and the game will tell you who has it on their system, so you'll know who can play. And then if you say play as a group, then basically a character from that game came into our virtual home, which was like the ghost cowboy. And he was like, you guys ready to play or something? And we were like, yeah, let's go. And then we all simultaneously jumped into the game and were instantly in a lobby together.
Still in a party, voice chat, everything.
And that is exactly how it should be. You know, there's not a single other VR platform that is doing that. Not Oculus Rift, not Steam. None of them are doing that. That you can actually like form like a party in already like a game, just like you would like in real life when you say, you want to go and play some football together. You meet up at someone's place, you go together to go and play. You know, that's such a logical system, but it hasn't been implemented. Probably, I don't know why, but I would like to see that.
And that's the crazy thing. It was on the Go, but it never came to Rift. It never came to Quest. So I really hope that they roll this out. Oculus Rooms, like this is going to be across all systems now. You can play and meet up with each other and hang out. I would love that. Just on a quick note, Echo Arena is coming to the Quest. They've already officially announced it.
Oh, okay.
They are working on that. And then that's why Lone Echo 2 got delayed to next year, because they're working on Echo Arena for Quest. So I guess we're going to be able to play that next week. I would be surprised.
I think they're throwing around with a lot of Quest titles, but as I said before to you, I hope we're going to see a roadmap where it's like, okay, this is what we did, but okay, you know, this Christmas you're going to be able to play this, and next year we're going to have this and that and that, because otherwise it's kind of like, okay, so Oculus Connect had all these games, but there's nothing else to play afterwards. I really want to see what I invested in for the upcoming year.
You want them to be spread out. You don't want to eat them all at once. You want to sort of spread them out over the year. Yeah, of course. I totally agree. So let's talk about some games then, because Population 1 is another big game that we know has been in the works for a long time. And hopefully we get to play it at OC6, because this game is unique in that it's a battle royale game, but it's cross-platform with Quest and
playable
PC.
on Quest, because it has been playable a couple of times. You know, there were these sign-ups where you could, so it's no secret that, but yeah, I think it's not really the matter if there are new games at the moment, but when the games that Oculus has announced are finally getting a launch date. I think like we see a lot of cool projects, but we're always like, delaying this or keep on pushing, but we just want to know when we can play it, right?
Also the climb, right? Because
the climb,
last year, we were all there and we saw the fact that they said the climb is coming to Quest, and we were like, holy crap, how are they going to pull this off? Because the climb is a gorgeous looking game. How are they going to make this work on the Quest? But we haven't heard anything about it since. So
we know Red Matter worked fine. It wasn't the climb a game that was, of course, made by Crytek in collaboration with Oculus. Yeah,
it was an Oculus funded.
So Oculus is also, but it has been confirmed that it was coming to the Quest, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it should still happen.
Fingers crossed. What about Minecraft?
Yeah.
Do you think that might happen?
I've been reading a lot of stuff on that as well. Like a lot of people are saying that it might be coming to the Oculus Quest, right?
Sure.
I think now's a perfect opportunity for them, right? Because, you know, especially with PewDiePie playing like Minecraft like so much right now, there's so much hype around it.
It still blows my mind that this didn't happen any earlier. Like, the heck, it could have happened like 2 years ago as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would have actually bought more headsets if it did.
Well, I think this is the thing, you know, certainly with the younger audience, and I know I say younger audience, I know there's plenty of older people out there that enjoy it as well. like Zim is a huge fan of Minecraft, you know, and playing it in VR too, but I think it could appeal to a broader audience and bring people to the platform. So it would be a super smart move if they did bring a proper legit 6 degrees of freedom.
How many platforms
Minecraft.
is it? Like you can play it probably on your Google Home by now. Like, so I mean, like
Exactly.
it's a no-brainer. It needs to be on there.
Yep.
So I see like some people talking about, Facebook, because I mean, in the end, Oculus doesn't really exist anymore. It's Facebook who runs the show nowadays. But interesting part is, do you guys think that we're going to see more integration of Facebook? Like I remember with the DK2 people, and also the C1 people are like, oh, Facebook is buying the company now, and it's all going to be Facebook, right? And they have been taking very small steps. But are we going to see a more jump now where it's like, hey, Facebook is more, because Quest, for example, Facebook doesn't really have much presence in Quest itself, right? They do have on the Bucks and the Art and Oculus Connect. It's like Oculus Connect from Facebook, or like Oculus from Facebook. But do you think we're gonna see? They still don't want to force that. I don't think they ever want to force people into having a Facebook account to get in there. But
no,
they are about getting people all socially into VR. Or are they still focused on more selling headsets, and it's not really about what happens inside VR at the moment?
I know it's like a little bit like more of like an unpopular opinion, but it actually makes a lot more sense for a company like Facebook to own something like Oculus, I think, because VR is such a social platform in itself. It's really about connecting people that are like so much distance in between. It's really like, if you haven't tried VR yet, I think VR is a total new way of playing a game together with other people. It's such a immersive experience. I know people who have a long distance relationship that actually bought VR headsets that are now meeting each other in social platforms such as Old Space or such as whatever, and they actually have like conversations there instead of like doing it over the phone. So I do think that not from a gaming perspective, but like from a more social perspective, it makes perfect sense for a company like Facebook, who also has a lot of money to spend on this kind of stuff, that they bought a company like Oculus.
But I don't think they're going to push the Facebook aspect into VR.
It wouldn't make sense to do
yet. Because I think generally generally public consensus is they're distrusting of the Facebook brand. I think based on the Cambridge Analytica thing and everything else, it's kind of understandable that people are a bit wary. So I think it wouldn't be wise for them to brand something.
No, but then they just brand Oculus. Like, people use WhatsApp, people use Instagram, but in the end, you're still using Facebook in a way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't think so. I don't think so. But in terms of the Quest, before we sort of move on to Rift, a couple of other predictions. We know already, about Oculus Go emulation. We mentioned it on the previous episode of the podcast that the Quest is getting Go emulation. So some Go games will be working on Quest, which is great. We're also likely going to get Vader Immortal Episode 2 at the event.
Of course.
That's a big game for them. And then the big one, which, I think, is one of my predictions, and I mentioned it briefly on a previous episode as well, is that I would be surprised that if Oculus don't provide an official way of streaming PC VR games from the Oculus platform from PC to Quest, because third-party applications from SideQuest have been available for a long time, and the Steam VR streaming of content from a PC to Quest works surprisingly well. Zim has been playing No Man's Sky remotely from other places in London, when he's playing the VR game streamed from Scotland, so it does work. And I would be surprised if Oculus don't want to get in on that action and say, well, this is an official method to do it.
They see it as a threat in a way, where it's like, we kind of need to have our own official thing, because otherwise it's going to get out of hand.
It just means that they can open up the Rift platform to Quest owners, and especially if there's a bigger market now.
But do you think that it makes sense because then the Quest will become like a direct competitor for the Rift S, right? Wouldn't they kill the Rift S sales?
Yeah, but the platforms also become too close to each other, where like a Quest is almost Rift, and then you know what I mean? I do get it, but on the other side, they have all these sections. They have Go, Quest, and you kind of upgrade from one to the other. And if you don't do that, then why should you buy a certain headset?
Yeah, like I understand your point, but I think the amount of people that probably have a PC capable is relatively small. So I don't think it's necessarily would compete with Rift, but I just think it gives that added functionality that people that have that option would really enjoy.
That's true. It's true.
So,
I don't think Oculus sees the streaming as a threat though, but I do think it annoys them to a certain point. And we have seen like this Quest. I've never seen any headset getting modded so much before. This Quest is capable of so many cool things. I wish it was open and they would kind of, because we have talked about this before with SideQuest. SideQuest is doing very well. They have a lot of users joining in. Of course, it's still mainly the VR community that is on there, like the consumers that are kind of outside of this whole bubble. They still just use the store, but you do see that it's this Quest has a lot of capabilities that they should maybe cash into and also make official. So I agree with that.
I still think it's more of a thing of like, if we open everything up, we're open up our system as well. So I still think it's much more of like, a little bit like the Apple approach, that they're trying to lock people into a system, like in an environment whatever it is, call it whatever you want. But I think it's important because it's still very, new, very small.
It is very
that
new.
They want to like keep that like bubble around it as long as they can in order to like let that grow so that they have a large market share on that. I think if they would open it up more, that it will become more difficult to control it, I think.
But I think the thing is, like right now, if you sideload on SideQuest, ALVR or Virtual Desktop or RiftCat, you can play Steam VR games, but you can't play Oculus titles unless you use Revive, and I can tell you it's not good because you're using Steam VR, then through Revive and through Oculus Home. It doesn't really work very well, so it's not a pleasant experience. Whereas I think if they opened it up,
do it.
No, but if they had a direct, line to Oculus Home instead of going through Steam VR and Revive, then it would probably be a smoother experience and it would be more than capable of running it. But they would have to support
that as well, because then they would have to test every single Steam title out there that is doing that as well. So, and they won't make any profit off of that, really. So
No. They would shut. My idea is that they would shut off Steam, so their official app wouldn't allow you to access Steam, just Oculus Home, which they already know is going to work with the controllers.
I think, as I said before, if let's say, for example, SideQuest and these other things, they become so big that it's kind of like, they kind of lose money on it too, because people will go somewhere else, other stores that are third party. Then I think they start doing this kind of stuff you mentioned. But right now, there's still, I think, a very, like, I don't know the numbers, but a very small group who makes use out of this, because, setting all of that up is quite complicated. And most people just use a Quest to play bait or to play some super hot. They're not looking further than...
That's one of the beauties of the Quest as well. You want to pick that up, put it on, and like you're playing a game, you launch it, bam, you're in. But so I do think that is still one of the major strengths of the Oculus Quest, to have that really like console experience. That's also how they advertise it, as like a console experience. So.
Yeah. Besides that, something I also want them to really, like, there are some things like that I just want them to seriously announce now, where I'm like Oculus Rooms is one example. You can't tell me that we're going to wait another year you can't make that happen, right? Like, you got to make it social. And that's the same with cloud saves. Cloud saves, it's a must. If you buy a headset, a Quest, a Rift, a Go, you pay for the service as well. Right now, there is no service. I don't pay for a social experience. It's not social until I go into an app that is social. And it's the same with cloud saves. I want Oculus to save my storage, my save games safely. And when I want to, for example, transfer my files to another Quest or change my profile, whatever, I just want that. That should be the standard. It should be the standard. It should be announced at Oculus Connect. If they don't, it's a big letdown, for sure.
Another good point that we actually missed and was picked up here on the chat is that Eric Hartley said Oculus also doesn't know if you have a 56K modem, a 2.4 gigahertz, a 5 gigahertz, or a 60 gigahertz internet. And a lot of that also depends, of course, on the quality of the streaming. So do they really want to cater to that like specific audience with like those high Wi-Fi band networks? Then I just don't see them doing that, as they really want like more VR for the masses.
It would be more likely if they start banning it when it becomes popular from a third-party perspective.
Interesting. Yeah. So just to round up Quest then, what game are you guys looking forward to playing the most next week on Quest?
For me, that would definitely be Vader Immortal.
Yeah, same.
The thing is, honestly, like last year I kind of knew what was going on, but this Oculus Connect, is kind of a mystery in some way.
Yeah.
And as I said before, I know there are going to be a lot of Quest games, and that's a good sign. But what those titles are, I seriously don't know, because these developers that are on the show have like serious NDAs. I met so many developers who said like, we're working with Oculus, but when or what? They are very serious about that. Very serious.
Oh yeah.
Where others are sometimes like, okay, Nathie, listen, backdoor information. But there are a lot that are not taking the risk at all.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Of course.
But yeah, Vader Immortal, I think, is the one I'm hyped about the most, and the Climb, if they announce it, I think I'd be very excited for as well.
It's time for the Climb as well.
I think Zim would be saying Minecraft, so I'll answer for Zim on his behalf. Yeah. So let's move into Rift then. Obviously, we know the Rift S launched earlier this year. I don't think we're going to get a new Rift anytime soon. Like I said at the beginning, I think we'll get teased a new PC VR headset with AR functionality, but I think it'll be a long way off yet.
Is this whole, let's say, Rift Pro, like kind of high end, like Valve Index kind of stuff, is that still relevant, or is this we're kind of going the standalone route? I feel like, and if it is PC VR, it's just standard, kind of normal, casual, but not super over the top high end, right?
Yeah, I think the Rift S, it was their hand. They've already dealt that. I don't think they're going to be announcing a new Rift at this event.
If you just look at the success,
for imminent release anyway.
If you just look at the success of the Oculus Quest, it makes sense that they want to push in that direction further.
Yeah, I think so. And something that we've kind of harped on about on the show, recently, more so recently, like with the Index release and the Cosmos release, is that we're kind of done with new hardware right now. Like we don't need a better resolution headset to play the same games that we were playing 2-3 years ago, because they're like Beat Saber is still like probably one of the number one VR games. And that's a problem for the industry, because we need to keep having these amazing games, that keep us in the headsets. So I don't think hardware is the biggest issue. I think software and games and reasons to stay in the headset are going to be the biggest issues.
Especially with Rift S, I pointed it out before. These games that were on the box of the Rift S, they are still not out. I haven't seen much activity on Oculus Home either. A lot of shuffleware, quality control seems to be out of the window on that spot. Quest, of course, has taken so many developers that are just like, screw a PC VR right now. I'm just gonna develop for a standalone, and you can see that it's like this ghost town on. Sometimes you have a few titles, but it's not like the Rift CV1 had, where it was picking up a pace. And they're also not really like this before, where they had every month a new title. They don't do that at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. So yeah, I do think the focus will be on games. Obviously we've got some real big hitters in the works. Stormland, I'm super hyped for that game. Yeah. We got to play it again at PAX, and it's
launch time. And it just like Stormland, they have been demoing this game for now 2 years or something.
Yeah,
I've seen it so many times. I'm like, yeah, great to see all this gameplay. Just launch it for the freaking consumers. We've seen enough of this game, honestly. They could release it now. But maybe we know that already in development. That could be the case, but
we know that Stormland's releasing in the fall.
But that's since a few months that we know stuff like that.
We don't have a release date for Asgard's Wrath, I don't think. Or unless that's fall as well, but I'm not sure on that one. Lone Echo, like I mentioned earlier, that's next year.
Yeah.
Ubisoft, I'd love to see them announce what they're working on at the show, whether that be Assassin's Creed or Splinter Cell. I'd love Splinter Cell. I think that'd be epic. But Respawn, I think, is the biggest hype for OC6, because we've been told already that we're going to be able to play whatever Respawn has been working on at the event. But we still don't know what the game is called. We still don't know the setting it's in. But we talked about it on a previous episode of the podcast where, I'd kind of went back to the original teaser that they dropped at like OC4 2 years ago. And when you listen to what the developers are saying and the kind of words they're using, like, we want an authentic experience. We want players to understand what it's like to be a soldier on the battlefield and feel that anger and feel that pain and the reason why you're doing it, all. And it kind of got me thinking, and I mentioned this before on the show, that I don't, as much as I would want a modern day first-person VR shooter from Respawn, I don't think that will happen. I do think it will be likely set in the past, so like a World War I or World War II game where they really sort of focus on the emotional side of being like in that environment, you know, like the battlefield and, you know, leaving your family behind and you know, that brother in arms kind of like camaraderie. I think they'll really focus on that instead. That's my guess anyway.
And I do think that is again, because we talked about it already a few times during this podcast, like VR is such a different medium compared to regular gaming, and those like kind of things get conveyed so much better. Emotions get conveyed so much better in virtual reality because you get like that human aspects of like movement and like eyes like right in front of you, and that is really like that power of immersion. And I'm glad that a company like Respawn is like taking that to heart and like is like thinking about like how can we do something different compared to what we usually do, because you know it's mostly this high packed action titles. So I do like that kind of approach for this game.
Yeah. Do you guys think it will be something like that, or do you think it'll be like Titanfall or Apex Legends or something else?
You know, on one, like I do trust Respawn, but on the other side, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait until it's playable there, and then I want to see if it's good or not, because I've seen a few titles that Oculus teased that weren't good at all, and I was actually, I thought they were going to be great, but then in the end they didn't. Plus, this is the only thing PC VR wise. It's concerning. It's very concerning, because if it is a shooter is not for everyone. Not everyone likes a shooter. Same with No Man's Sky. You know, No Man's Sky, awesome game. It's maybe for more people because it's kind of, you know, having different genres in one. But there is nothing else. And that makes me very disappointed in one way. I'm very happy Respawn is taking the job too. But if we are all taking our hopes up for only this, and there's nothing else PC VR wise, what else are we going to play? Because we're not going to play this game every day. Maybe if it's like a super solid multiplayer shooter, maybe. But I'm like, is no one asking where the rest is?
Yeah.
What's going on with Rift S? I wouldn't buy a Rift S just for Respawn's title right now. There must be more that keeps you, you know, in the loop.
But at least you have more than what other platforms have, you know.
That is true.
You know, like if you buy an Index right now, you're very upset, I think, you know, because you don't have that decent library of content other than stuff that's we've already played, you know, a year or two ago. And that's the upsetting thing, you know. You want that first party game from Valve. Same with Oculus, you want that first party game from Oculus. But hopefully, like you say, you know, Ubisoft, we know that they're working on something. Hopefully they bring something to the table. You know, we've got Stormland, Asgard's Wrath, and Lone Echo 2. But I want to see more. And of course,
like last year also, they announced some stuff out of nowhere. But based on what we know, this is all we kind of know, right? I just want Oculus to show that they are more dedicated to PC VR as well. Right now, I would place my bets on standalone, just also content-wise. I feel like right now, even buying a Rift S is kind of risk. Buying a Valve Index is also a risk. Just buying any PC VR headset right now is kind of risk. Yes, you could say back catalog, there's still a lot to play. But let's say the longer you are a PC VR user, the more bored you get. Because maybe if you own a headset the first year, it's fun. But what is going to happen after 2 years or 3 years? Now, I enjoyed wave-based shooters for a year. And then I started to like, I'm always doing the same. And then I started to get bored of it. So it's like a line that goes up, right? So I don't know. We'll see. I just want to play it and see how good it is. I just hope it's really a good physics-based shooter, a good simulator, not arcadey in a way, like really, you know, action-packed in a way we haven't seen before, realistic in a way where you're like, wow, this is epic. Like, you know, you always see those Battlefield trailers where, you know, you run around and something crashes and so much is going on. You have these crazy conquest things going on, but not, let's say, a reskin of Call of Duty Nuketown in small maps. No, I want to see some real, you know, something we haven't seen before, basically.
Yeah. But again, you know, like a solid lineup for the future, you know, like you know, like in the original CV1 days, like you mentioned, they had a pillar game every month.
Lone Echo, like Super Hot, etc.
Yeah, a bit like what the Switch is doing now. You know, they release a first party like pillar game every few months, and then they've got all the indies in between that kind of support it. But you always know that you're going to have a big game to look forward to at least in a month or two. So I do agree with that. Do you think they're going to release any audio solution or anything like that? Maybe official branded Oculus headphones or anything like that for
based on like the backlash I don't know, like, again, it felt like a big backlash, but was it really? That's the question, because I think people just that bought their first headset, I think they're fine
I'm
with
more
it.
than happy with
They're
it.
like,
Yeah.
whatever, I got a fun headset.
So this was something that they released. I think it was OC3 or OC4. I can't remember. But they released these official Oculus Rift earbuds. So I wonder if they'll make an official accessory for the Rift S.
Headphones would be welcome, I think.
Like the clip-on ones that I use, the PSVR Mantis ones, the clip-on ones, they worked really great. So something like that with a tidier, cable run, I'd be down for that for sure. So yeah, they're sort of like our predictions, really. I think, although the hardware is interesting, I think it's going to be teased. We might get to try it, but, more excited about the content, more excited about the games. That's going to keep us in the headsets that we've already got right now. I think that's what we're all kind of saying here. In terms of PC games, the one you're looking forward to the most, out of the sort of ones we mentioned, which one are you more excited to play?
The one, there is only one. No, maybe Vader Immortal is also PC, so maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Lone Echo 2, I think that is still the one that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the original one.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah. For me, it is the Respawn title. I've got a lot of faith in those guys.
We don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is, but I've got a lot of faith in them. That's the one I'm looking forward to finding out about and playing the most, I think. Because like you said, we've played Asgard's Wrath, we played Stormlight already.
It got to be playable.
No, the title that I'm most excited about. That is gonna get announced probably during OC6. Half-Life VR.
You think the Valve would troll us again like they did at PAX?
I think so.
That would be super interesting.
Something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm gonna use the same argument. You can have a Respawn title, you can have a Half-Life title, but what next to that are you gonna play?
Yeah,
it's still just one game.
Although no, I forgot the game that I really want to play at OC6. Critic Carts.
Yeah. Same here, by the way. Yeah, I totally forgot. Forget about it. There are enough PC VR games coming. We have Critic Carts. Yeah. We don't have to worry anymore.
The game we've been looking for. But let us know, of course, in the comments what game you're most excited to play on either Quest or Rift, or maybe you've got like a wild card, something that you'd really love to see at this show. I mentioned this on my video roundup of like my predictions. So that my wild card would be like Super Hot 2, or like I would love a sequel to Super Hot, at OC6.
So something else that we have seen last year that nowadays feels more random the longer it's ago that we tried it, is we tried Dead and Buried, the whole arena thing. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they want to they show off the Quest, its potential being bigger than just room scale, like really warehouse scale. But then this time they at least say this is not, because consumers like, whoa, I can do this, and wow, amazing. But I hope that Oculus is maybe they announce like Oculus Arcade and they have like licenses, or like but showing off something that is more arcade, and they also kind of make boundaries like this is arcade, this is something else. But it's fun, and you will be able to experience this at, let's say we start with 6 locations in LA, in Vegas, in whatever place it's booming to play VR. You know what I mean? Something, Oculus Arcade, best name ever, right? Best name ever.
Well, I think it would be super smart. Something like the Void, location-based experience. We saw Space Pirate Arena, announced that not that long ago. Hopefully we get to demo that, because that looks awesome.
People have been saying in the chat as well, Space Pirate Arena.
Yeah, but that's something that could only work if it's an arcade title. Like, you can't tell me that Oculus is not going to allow any games on there that really require you almost like a, I don't know what kind of size. I don't think they want to do that. Or do they nowadays?
Well, I think the issue is, especially with the Dead and Buried experience and this
very big,
arena, I think you need some sort of central server doing the work between the two headsets. I don't think you can directly pair the two headsets and play locally together that. I don't
Space
think
Pirate
it
is a
works
single player, so that could work. But
no, it's multiplayer as well. The arena one.
We could see a shift, because what I noticed is that when the Quest came out, Oculus social media wise was very wary of promoting people playing outside, or kind of that was kind of like a no-go. And you saw other developers that work together with Oculus also kind of not promoting it. But now I see, for example, Beat Saber nowadays is retweets people playing outside, and it's still kind of dangerous, but people do it. So I feel like they're view on certain things. It
changed.
sometimes takes a while with Oculus to see that, but in this case, I think with Quest they do see it's just epic that this headset is able to, like, if you're at like an airport, or I think they're gonna kind of promote that more, where they first want to do like, you play in your living room, that's where it's for, and now I feel like they're gonna be more like, hey, airport and supermarket and you know, things like that. I think they're gonna kind of use it more in their advantage.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Any other cool suggestions in the chat as to things that people predict game-wise? Really interested in game predictions.
Games. Well, that's a good one. Space Pirate Trainer is a popular one, of course.
Space Pirate Arena looks great. It does look great.
Aspire 1, that's what someone says.
Aspire 1, yeah. Coming soon as well.
Star Trek Bridge Crew needs a sequel. I agree.
More co-op games, for sure. Fail Space, hopefully we get to see some more of that game as well. That game looks cool.
Fail Space. It's like, I think people also in the chat are kind of struggling because you don't really know, like, it's not, as I said, it's a mysterious event. It's not that we know that much. We don't really know anything, basically.
No, we know nothing. We don't have any.
We know a lot of games. We know lots of games, but what those games are gonna be, it could be another, you know, card game, rhythm game, shooter game. There's always a shooter. There's always a new shooter.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but
There's
I think
always a new shooter.
Yeah, always a new shooter.
That's a perfect line to
and a puzzle, and a puzzle game, and a puzzle game too.
Shooter.
Yeah, very hopeful.
I think as well, like, alongside obviously playing new games and checking out new hardware if they show anything for the event, it's just hanging out with people that are so passionate about VR as well as we are.
That's the best part,
you know,
about OC.
That is the best part.
The best part.
They call it Oculus Connect because it is about connecting with other people.
Yeah. It's the VR event to go to, and it's like like you have certain people you know very well. It feels like friends and family coming together.
Yeah.
Also new, like, developers, for example, being able to give you a demo somewhere at a random spot, and you know, people standing in line, getting their demos tested with Karma, getting feedback. It's like so much more than just, oh, you can play games and there are these announcements and Mark Zuckerberg is on stage again. It's so much more than that. It's just that you have to kind of experience that to know what that's like. It's definitely, that's what I'm most excited for, to meet people again. It's not the games or the hardware. And that's something I'm kind of happy with, is that last year Quest and Rift as and everything was super chaotic. It's really intense to try to cover everything, but in this case you can kind of also focus more on just, you know, enjoying it. But it's always like you can still enjoy the event, but it's different. It's like a rat race in the end. It's like, I gotta upload a video as well, right? Or I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and it's not as, you know, it's not the same thing as just going there and be like, you know what, I'm just going to talk to someone now. I don't care who it's going to be, but let's talk.
Yeah, so if you're going to the event and you see us around, feel free to come and say hi. Always up for meeting cool new people. And that's what it's all about, connecting. So let me just do a quick recap. If we've got maybe one question, we can take one question before we wrap up. So just a reminder, this is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show, live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can also catch the show live in VR and chat with other people using big screen TV, which is a really cool way to check out the show. The show goes live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, and also Spotify. And like I said, we're going to be doing the show from OC6 next week.
Yeah, also leave a like, by the way, on this stream.
Leave a like.
Or it's
maybe really helps out.
I don't know. So someone is asking, who's going to hold the microphone this year?
Nathie's a pro at that, so I'm going to leave that to him.
Yeah, we are going to bring the microphone because we do like that kind of vibe to it. It's kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah, and like packing a Blue Yeti in your suitcase, like it adds like half the weight of your allowance. So I'm happy that Nathie's going to be having his microphone again. But yeah, he did a great job at PAX, so I trust him.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm honored actually to hold the microphone in front of these superstars that I'm having a podcast with.
Yeah. So yeah, we're hyped for the show. Like I say, we're leaving in a couple of days. Not that long now. And then I don't know when you guys are back. I'm back the following Wednesday.
I think I'm
immediately after the event. I'm going back home because I got.
Okay.
I'll also be
Used
back
to
the
see.
same week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Mike, you're gonna be
Okay.
on holiday, right?
Well, I'm going to try, but
gonna try.
whether that's going to happen, I'm going to try and take a couple of days out
Where are
in
you
San
going?
Francisco.
Where are you
but-
going? San Francisco. So, in the
Yeah.
chat, if you're in the Bay Area, give Mike some tourist tips.
Yeah, definitely.
Alcatraz is kind of cool.
Yeah, I want to do that in the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah,
Ooh,
that's-
yeah,
that's
that's
my
nice.
plans.
And there's also, but that's just my jam. Like Disney Museum, there's like this cool Walt Disney Museum. So
I'm going to do a lot of
have fun.
shopping and eating as well. Yeah.
shopping,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
So that is the show this week. I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed it. Have a great week in VR. Enjoy the Oculus Connect keynotes. We'll obviously recap on what we got right and what we got wrong, if anything. And we'll see you next weekend. So until then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.